Okay, you guys, hi, welcome back. We are going to read another book this week. This week, our book is called The Dot. This is one of my favorite books. It's so good. I just want to remind any parents that are watching that we do typically break these books up over a couple of days, so it might be good to pause when I ask a question so that you and your scholar can talk through what's happening. So scholars, that means when I ask a question, I want you to have your thinking caps on nice and tight so that you can be thinking about the question that I ask and be ready to answer it to whoever you're reading with, okay? So this week our book is called The Dot. It is by the author and illustrator. So the same person who wrote it is the same person who drew the pictures, and his name is Peter H. Reynolds, okay? So our goal with this book this week is that we are going to look at the main character's feelings. So this is our main character, okay? Her name is Vashti, okay? So we're gonna look at Vashti's feelings to discover what inspires her, okay? What inspires her? Well, to know what inspires her, we need to know what the word inspire means, right? So let's look. Okay, so inspired. So if you are inspired to do something, okay, if you are inspired to do something, it means you have a feeling, okay, so somebody gave you a feeling inside, and that feeling made you want to do something, okay, so you were inspired to do something. So for example, maybe you were at a birthday party, okay, and you were just so happy and you saw the cake and the balloons and you were so happy, it inspired you to draw a picture about it, okay. So you had a feeling, you were so happy and you were inspired. That feeling made you want to do something. And so what you did is that you drew a picture, okay? So usually if you are inspired by something, it's a feeling that you have and it makes you want to do something creative like draw or paint or do something else that's super fun, okay? So that is what our word inspired means, okay? So again, our main character that we're going to be reading about, her name is Vashti, okay? And she's super, super brave because she tries a new thing, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to read and we're going to discover what does she try, okay? So our big thinking task, this is our big thinking task of the day. I want you to really focus on this, okay? Is I want you to try to understand by the end of our story, how does Vashti become inspired? Remember, inspired means makes her do something. How does she become inspired? What gives her that feeling? What inspires her to do something? Okay, sound good? So that's our thinking task. Here we go, the dot. Okay. Art class was over, but Vashti sat glued to her chair. Her paper was empty. Vashti's teacher leaned over the blank paper. Ah, a polar bear in a snowstorm, she said. Huh, very funny, said Vashti. I just can't draw anything. Why do you think that Vashti has a blank piece of paper? Did she really draw a polar bear there? No, she didn't. Why do you think she has a blank piece of paper? Think about it. Yeah, she has a blank piece of paper because she thinks that she can't draw. She just tells her teacher, I just can't draw anything. I don't know what you want me to do. I can't draw. How do you think she feels? I've seen a lot of you, sometimes you feel this way if you feel like you can't do something. She probably feels mad, or she could feel scared or frustrated, right? So is she in a good mood right now? No, you're right, she's not. But her teacher smiled. Just make a mark and see where it takes you. So Vashti grabbed a marker and gave the paper a strong, good jab. There, she said. Her teacher picked up the paper and studied it carefully. She pushed the paper toward Vashti and quietly said, now sign it. You see, that's her dot. She just made a dot on the page, and her teacher's telling her to go sign the paper. Vashti thought for a moment. Well, maybe I can't draw, but I can sign my name. She's signing her name here. The next week, when Vashti walked into art class, she was surprised to see what was hanging above her teacher's desk. It was the little dot she had drawn. Her dot. It was all framed in swirly gold. Do you see that? Her teacher put her dot paper in a gold frame above her desk. Why do you think her teacher made such a big deal about her dot? Such a big deal, it's in a gold frame. I want you to think in your head for a second. Why did her teacher put her dot in a gold frame? Why do you think? Because she wanted to show Vashti that even when you start with something small, it can still be creative, right? Even something small is still art, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. It can still be art. So how do you think Vashti feels? How would you feel if you came to school and your dot was in a gold frame? I would feel pretty good too. Yeah, you're right. Well, I can make a better dot than that. She opened her never before used set of watercolor paints and set to work. Vashti painted and painted a red dot, a purple dot, a yellow dot, a blue dot. The blue mixed with the yellow. She discovered that she could then make a green dot. Vashti kept experimenting. Lots of little dots in lots of different colors. You see all the dots she's making with all the different colors? She's trying new things. Well, if I can make little dots, I can make big dots too. Vashti splashed her colors with a bigger brown, Vashti splashed her colors with a bigger brush on bigger paper to make bigger dots. Vashti even made a dot by not painting a dot. Do you see how cool that is? She painted all around it and just made a big dot in the middle. Isn't that cool? Why do you think Vashti started to experiment with all these different colors? Why do you think she started to experiment with all these different colors? Look in your head. Do you remember our vocabulary word for the day? Inspired, right? Well, it inspired her, right? Seeing that dot, she said, well, you know what? If my teacher thinks that dot is good, I can make even better dots. I can try all these different colored dots, right? So after she saw her painting, it gave her a feeling and it made her go do something. And that is what inspired means, right? She had a feeling and it made her go try something new. So she was inspired to go try all these things with different colors, right? And what does she discover about herself? Do you see this cool dot that she made without even painting? She discovered she is a good artist, right? She is creative. She didn't think she was, but she was so inspired to try something new. And when she tried all these new cool things, she discovered, oh my goodness, I am creative, right? Let's keep reading and see what happens. At the school art show a few weeks later, Vashti's many dots made quite a splash. Look at all of her paintings. Aren't those so cool? And guess what? They were at the school's art show. So everybody who came to school got to see all of her dots. Isn't that wild? That is so cool. How do you think she feels right now with all these people admiring her work? Yeah, I think she feels pretty darn good, huh? So how do you think she looks at art now? So let's think back, the very beginning, right? The very beginning of the story. She said, I just can't draw, right? She left her paper blank. She said, I just can't draw. Her teacher made her draw a dot. Then she was inspired by seeing her painting and she tried all these new things, right? All these new things. She discovered she's really creative, right? So how does she feel different now than she did at the beginning? I want you to think about this for a second. How does she feel different now than she did at the beginning? I want you to talk to whoever you're watching this video with. I want you to tell them, how do you think she's different? How does she look at art different? You're right. She was inspired, and now she thinks that art can be anything she wants it to be, right? Does it have to be perfect? Nope. Art can be anything creative that you want it to be. Vashti noticed a little boy gazing up at her. You're a really great artist. I wish I can draw, he said. I bet you can, said Vashti. Me? No, not me. I can't draw a straight line even with a ruler, he said. Vashti smiled. She handed the boy a blank sheet of paper. Show me, she said. The boy's pencil shook as he drew his line. Vashti stared at the boy's scribble. See his scribbly line? And then she said to him, please, sign it. Do you guys remember where we've heard that before? Do you remember that at the very beginning of the story, her teacher told her to sign her first dot? Do you remember that? And now Vashti is telling the boy to sign his squiggle, right? How do you think Vashti helped him? How do you think that Vashti helped this boy? What do you think? Think in your head. She inspired him, right? Just like her teacher inspired her, she said, sign it, right? So now he might think, well, oh my gosh, this girl who's such a good artist told me to sign my scribble, then maybe I can make more scribbles, right? Why do you think she was inspired to do this? First, she was inspired to make her art, right? She had a feeling, and that made her want to try out all of those different dots, right? So now what feeling, what inspired her to want to help this boy? This is a tricky question. You might want to pause the video and think about it for just a second with your thinking caps on nice and tight. What inspired her? Well, her teacher helped her, right? Her teacher said you can start small with just this dot and sign it, and that's art, right? You can start small, okay? And that's kind of what Vashti said. She wanted to help this boy just like her teacher had helped her. So she said, sign it, right? By starting really small with just a scribble, she's helping him become brave so that he can become creative as well, okay? Excellent job, you guys. Okay, so for our reader's response today, all of you should have gotten your journals in the mail by now. If you have not, then have your mom or dad or whoever is with you contact your teacher because we need to get that fixed up. But you should have your journals. Okay, so in your journals, you're going to draw a picture and you're going to answer the question. Okay, so my question is this for you. Okay, thinking. How did Vashti inspire others just like her teacher inspired her? Okay. We learned that Vashti became inspired by starting out with a really small idea. Her small idea was just to put a dot on the page, right? So she became inspired by her dot, by starting out with a small idea and then getting bigger and bigger and bigger ideas. That's how Vashti was inspired, right? So how did Vashti inspire other people, just like she was inspired? How did she inspire other people? So let's take a look here. So here it is. So you can draw a picture in your journal, and then I want you to write your sentence Our sentence says, Vashti inspired others by showing them to blank, okay? I want you to try to sound out your word, and once you've tried, then you can have somebody check you and help you for spelling, okay? Vashti inspired others by showing them to do what? Go ahead and pause the video, okay? Answer this in your reader's response journal, and then when you're done, you can press play. We'll go over some good answers, okay? So go ahead and pause. You're answering the question. How did Vashti become inspired? Okay? Vashti inspired others by showing them to what? So how did Vashti become inspired? We already said that. She decided she wanted to start small, okay? So what you're drawing a picture of is Vashti inspired others by showing them to do what? Vashti inspired others by showing them to do what? Okay, so some good answers might have been that Vashti inspired others by showing them to start small, okay? Vashti inspired others by showing them to be creative, right? Vashti inspired others by showing them to be brave, okay? So there are a couple of different ways that Vashti inspired others, okay? She was inspired by starting small, so she probably was helping them by doing that too. Okay, all right, you guys, go ahead and have your mom or dad take a picture of your reader's response, send it to your teacher so that they can give you some feedback and then count your grade as attendance, all right? I hope you guys have a great week, and I will be back next week with you, and we'll read another book just as good as The Dot, okay? Have a good day, everybody.